Welcome everyone. This is Candice Sanderson and this is my granddaughter Lorelei. This is our first live Facebook event and it has started off with a little glitch. We're now using the phone instead of the computer, but that's okay. What we want to do today is to welcome everyone to the group. What we want to do is, I've got other people around that I'd like for them to join us. What I want to do is give a big thank you to everyone who has supported me on my journey. My journey being, the first book was The Reluctant Messenger Returns. This was a story about my spiritual awakening. And now, Lorelei, if you want to show this second one. And what's the name of this one?
The Reluctant Messenger Returns.
Yes, this is the sequel, if you will, The Reluctant Messenger Returns. And the subtitle is An Unexpected Adventure into the Angelic Realm. The way this started, after my first book...
I'm going to show that.
Oh, wait, here we go.
There we go.
That's actually a proof copy, so it's... not really for sale. This is the first one that I did receive. Let's sit down, won't you, Lorelei? Oh, look who's in our seat.
Sandy Simmons says, good to see you.
Oh, hey, Sandy. I'm glad you could join us. Let's see if Loki will let us over here.
Probably not, but...
And here we go. You want to sit next to me? What we started off doing was, after my first book, I decided what I wanted to do was write a children's spiritual book. I really started working hard on it. It was going to be like the ABCs of spirituality. And I had a really good start on that until sometime, I'm thinking it was in November, I was on a podcast by Joe Roop and it called Lighting the Void. This was from 9, one evening from 9 until midnight, but it was California time, which means that it was from midnight to 3 in the morning. Now, you know that your Nana's never up that late, so it was a real challenge, but it ended up being a lot of fun. But one thing happened that I really didn't expect. During the event, there was a break. So during the break, what happened was Joe started telling me a story. And it's not my story to share, but it's his. But let me just say that there was an event that happened to him when he was 12 or 13 years old, and he ended up finding himself in a position where it was life-threatening. And out of the blue came this man who actually rescued him. And as Joe told me this story, he said, you know, I always thought that that man was an angel. And as soon as he said that, I had cold chills that racked my entire body. Now, cold chills that's always been a sign for me that something different is happening. There's a real truth nearby, like the truth with a capital T. And I absolutely knew that these people, that this person that came to rescue Joe was an angel. The next day, you know, I was busy working, and then I got a message, because I, you know, get messages pretty frequently, and it was from angels. The day after that, I got another little nudge, and it's from the angels. And I finally realized all of this was kind of orchestrated, because I was not meant to write a children's spiritual book next. I was meant to do some sort of a book on angels, and this is where this came about. So, if you're just now joining us, in 10 minutes at 10:15, we're going to take a list. We're going to list the people that are in attendance, and what we'll be doing is giving. We'll do a giveaway. So I will get my book and autograph it and send it to whoever is the lucky winner. The book is now live, and I can see on the other side of the room my son-in-law. He is logging on to Amazon as we speak. And if you notice in the on my home page, if you notice below, you'll see there's a link to Amazon. But the book is now live. It is both the paperback book and the ebook. And what I've asked so many of you all, and I thank you so much for doing this, to wait on buying the book until today, because what I want to do is just give a great big boost. The last book became a #1 bestseller on Amazon in a very short period of time, and I would love to do this one too. And the reasons really aren't selfish. It's not that I want my book to be a #1 bestseller. Now, I mean, that is cool, that's great, I would love that to happen. But more importantly, I would like to have the message out to other people that there is more to life than what our physical senses measure. We are surrounded by guides and angels that are willing to help us on our day-to-day journeys, and I would love to get this message out to people. In order to make it a #1 bestseller, what Amazon's algorithm shows is if you have a lot of purchases in a short period of time, it will boost your ratings. So that's one reason why I wanted to make this an event where we could all just buy at one time. So I thank all of you all for supporting me in that endeavor.
I have a question.
Okay,
The
what's your
voice from
question?
behind the camera. This is your lovely daughter.
This is my lovely daughter.
What if we don't like to read? We just want to listen. Tell us what that process, like how do we get it so that we can just play it through a speaker? What's that look like?
Well, there's a couple options. You can have a really good friend open the book and read it to you.
Oh, that would be so nice.
So, Baby Dan will do that for you, Cassie. But another option...
Ooh, Lauren just said she bought the book.
Oh, great. Thank you, Lauren. Lauren from Wisconsin. One thing, all kidding aside, is I am now interviewing people. People are auditioning for the Audible book. And
Tell about that process. I think it is so cool. Like, I had no idea how, you got these magical people to magically read your book. It's a cool process. Isn't it, Lorelai? I mean, it's cool. Oh, Jared says hi.
Hey, Jared.
Tell us about that.
Well, actually, it's a fairly simple process. So I know there's some authors out there that are online right now, and some of them I know don't have their books on Audible yet. It's really a simple process, and you can certainly contact me and I'll help you through that. But what you do is once your book is actually published, then you go through this process of sending in a script, and that script is posted on Audible's website. People will then start auditioning for the book.
And it's a lot of fun to listen to the auditions.
Oh, it is.
Some of them, well, actually, we got one that was just a computer. It was hilarious.
It was clearly artificial intelligence.
Right.
It even said...
Thanks for making that sound so much fancier. You just couldn't. It was a computer.
But it was, this is Candice Sanderson, page 1. It was just bizarre.
Yeah.
And Cassie and I were listening to them yesterday, the different people who were auditioning. Some were absolutely great, but when you got to the one that was clearly just a machine doing the voice, we had a good laugh with that one. But once people audition, then you can choose whoever it is you might want. And as you do that, then you have a contract with your person, and you, what did Dave just say? Talk louder. Oh, okay. Once someone auditions and you accept them, then you start working with them, and within 6 weeks or 2 months, whatever it takes, these people will then provide you with the Audible edition. And I have been so impressed with how professionally done the products are. And I've been really impressed with how many people use Audible. So to answer your question, Cassie, if somebody wants to listen to the book, if you don't have a real good friend who would read it to you, you can wait for the Audible edition, which will be out in a couple or 3 months.
Great. That's exciting.
Hannah, how many words are in your book?
How many words? You know what? It's interesting that you ask me that, because a lot of people will say, how many pages are in your book. And you can have...
When you're 7 going on 8, words is a better count.
And for an author, too, it's a better count. Because when people ask me, how many pages is your book? Well, if my book is this tiny, it's going to be really thick. If I make my book this big, I'm only going to have a few pages. If my font is an 11 or a 12 versus a 24, that's going to change the page count, too. Of course, what I'm trying to do is think in my mind how many words it is. And you know what?
You don't know.
No, I do. It's 66,000, and I think it's 146 words. I know it's the 66,000, so that is...
That's a lot of words.
it is a lot of words. And you know, part of the words are directly from the messengers. And the messages that I have in this book are from angels. It's interesting, you know, the way that I have done messages, the way I've received them in the past. Can I just tell you how it started? Okay. I was driving to work one morning. This was in August of 2013. And all of a sudden, I got this message that just dropped into my awareness. It was a beautiful message about a flower. And it said that a flower, as it connects to above, I think the words were Father Sky, which were not words that I used at that time, and as they connected to the roots to Mother Earth, then it became perfect alignment to Source. And as it became perfect alignment to Source, then the energy would flow and it would create a flower. Now, Lorelai, if you take the word flower and put a hyphen in it, FLOW-ER, do you know what that becomes?
Flower.
Flower.
Yep, she's
And
right.
You're absolutely right. But you can also look at it and read it as flower. Oh, hey, you want to say hello to everybody, Shalane?
Miss Nancy's watching.
Whoa! Can you say hi to Miss Nancy?
Okay, well, we're kind of in a 4-year-old mood, right? Which is sometimes great and sometimes not.
So it said you can become a flower of energy, and when you are in perfect alignment,
Christine Mitchell got the
will produce. Pardon?
Kindle and paperback.
Oh, good. Oh, Christine, thank you.
I've missed some others. Lots of people have said they've gotten it, but I'm just not able to read them all.
Okay, well, thank you guys very much for supporting me.
And Dan is being your chat person. So if we should show everyone,
now that
Dan
has purchased it.
actually he hasn't yet because he's been right? Or did you?
No.
Oh, Marcia says good morning. So good to see and hear you.
Well, good morning, Marcia. How are you?
You've got 35. Someone just left. 35 people on.
35 people on, which means that, Dan, can you do a screenshot or something so we'll know who they are? If
I
not,
can come look if you want.
Well, no, because it's...
no, because at 10:15 we were going to take a
Yeah, I
listen.
can
Yes,
I can
he's
do
got
that.
that, no
So
problem.
He's going to do a screenshot.
Aunt Cookie also says hi.
Oh, hello, Aunt Cookie and
And
Colorado.
Ellie.
It's 10:15 right now, so you want me to do that right
Yes, yeah, if you can do that, that would be great. But back to the messages, all of a sudden driving to work, I get this message. And I'm thinking, this is so strange. I really don't know what it means. But it was so clearly not from me that, you know, my first thought was, oh, I wish I had thought of that, you know. Because the message continued and it said, humans too are like these flowers of energy. If they're connected to Source and they remain grounded, then they can produce a beautiful flower and really like live life to their fullest and beyond their highest expectations. I remember, because I was on my way to work, it was, you know, really early. I always get to work early. And I, you know, once I got to work, I gathered my belongings, started heading toward the car. Leaving the car, heading toward work with my keys in hand. And I passed this beautiful royal poinciana tree. Now, I had passed this tree 100 times, and you know, it's a tree. Not so today. That day, it like beckoned me. It called me over.
Candy.
Candy,
Candy.
And it was like, I knew it was just as much alive as I was. And as I'm looking at it, you know, I'm in this almost hypnotic state. And my head turns to this one little bud that had not yet opened. And I realized that represented me. You know, the flower that was waiting to open to its fullest potential. Well, you know, I thought this was really cool. I had no idea whether it would be a once-in-a-lifetime event or whether
Grab that book, Lorelai. Show that.
it would happen.
Uncle Bub and Aunt Kay are on.
Oh,
say
from
hi.
Nashville, Tennessee. So this was the beginning of the Reluctant Messenger, Tales from Beyond Belief.
Great. Oh, Lauren made the suggestion to ask people if you do buy the book and once you read it and once you love it, to leave a review.
Oh, thank you. That would be great. If you buy it,
Not that one, this one.
if you love it, this one too.
Yeah. When you buy it, when you love it.
When you buy it, when you love it, thank you, Cassie, then leaving a review on Amazon means a lot. You can also go on barnesandnoble.com, but having more reviews indicate that, you know, a lot of people look at the reviews and they want to know what people are thinking of the book. So if you love it, which I know you will, please leave a review. So thank you, Lauren, for the suggestion, because
Debbie-
that would mean a lot.
Yeah, Debbie Edmondson said the cover art is beautiful.
Oh my goodness,
See.
Debbie.
This has the, not for resale, this is her proof version. So the one you get hopefully won't have that.
Yeah, you can zoom in on here.
Zoom in. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
let me get my digital zoom.
Nana, you have flowers on
There's a link to buy it on Facebook, right?
I do have flowers. Pardon?
There's a link to buy it from Facebook, right? To go to Amazon?
Yes, right below the tag, or whatever you call it, where this is posted, I left a comment that actually has the link. Oh, look at Shalane. It has the link to Amazon.
Miss Monroe just bought a copy.
Oh, from North Carolina. Thank you, Monroe. That's great.
Monroe.
And you know, I have several people, I don't know if they're on yet, that were coming in from the Seattle area or from Washington. And I appreciate that so much. You know, Carrie and Mark and Linda, you all have been such great supporters of mine. And for anyone to get up and go to Facebook at 7 o'clock in the morning,
I mean, 7 in the morning, that's painful.
that's,
On a Saturday?
you're right, that is very painful.
Yeah.
So that means,
Speaking of, can someone
that
hand me
means
a
so
copy?
much to me.
Request to tell us a little bit about how you met the artist of your cover.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Mark Cruson. Yes, we're here. Is
Oh,
that a
yes,
Seattle?
Yes, Mark, thank you so much. Hugs to you. The artist is so interesting because when, you know, I contracted out for the book cover, and starting off with this first book, the Reluctant Messenger. Hey, Shalane, you want to sit up with Nana?
No, I'm just going back there.
Okay, that works. And I tried to find. I tried to find a book artist that I liked. I found one. I contacted them, and they said it would be 6 weeks before they. No, what am I saying? 6 months before they could get to me. And I said, oh, no, that won't work. But they gave me a website or a URL where I could find other book designers, book cover designers who could support me in this endeavor. So I looked, I went to that URL. There was just a whole list of people. I spent 5 or 6 hours and I could not find anyone who I didn't really like anything. Nothing just really stood out. And then I was ready to give up. And then the next day I decided, let me look at that list again. It was not alphabetical. There was no rhyme or reason, and I thought, the way they were listed, so I thought what I'll do is I'll go to the very bottom, to the very last link. And I did, and I found Mary Des. She was in Dublin. Of course, I had no idea that she was. I contacted her. She was willing to do this. I gave her a deposit. I went for a short beach walk. I was back within 30 minutes. She had finished the design. Lorelai, do you have the reluctant messenger?
Should we let go?
Return it to Nana.
Return. And if you can take a look, she said she started off with a feather quill. And before she knew it, it had become an angel wing. And she said, it is writing the path of life. This book was a finalist in the Da Vinci Eye Award. And as Marina Zukova owns Mary Des, and I've been friends with her ever since. We communicate quite frequently, and we communicate too.
Communicate, yeah. Well, that's the secret way that like authors and book design covers communicate.
That's our secret code.
Now everybody knows you're going to have to change that code.
That's right. We'll have to change it. But she told me, she emailed me and she said, I hope you don't think this is too odd, but while I was doing the book cover, she said she felt a presence in the room. This is all graphic design, you know, lots of layering and stuff. And she said it felt like that this presence took over and designed the cover for her. Now I'm going to get teary-eyed.
Here we go, waterworks.
Waterworks. And, you know, she said she didn't make the design, that there was this angelic presence that did that for her. And that's the way this book and this book have come about. There is a presence.
Get Nana a tissue.
Give me a tissue. From the non-physical realm, from angels that come and help you in whatever it is you need to do. But let me get back to Marina. She wanted to know how I found her book, or how I found her services. So, being the detailed person that I am, I captured the URL. I went to capture the URL so I could send her the link instead of just telling her the site. And you know what? She's not there. She was not on that page. She had never heard of that page, and she's never been on it. And that was just another one of those, like, ding, ding, dings, little messages that you get from Spirit, where Spirit will guide you in a way that you never thought was possible if you're just open and you can allow that information to flow. So that I kind of went overboard on telling you that, but she did a beautiful job with this, looking out over mountains. And she said, this represents me, that I was the key.
I've never seen that dress.
Oh, it's in my closet.
Oh, is it?
It's a black hat. It's in my closet, too. But what you'll find out about this book is it all began at Monroe Institute in Virginia. Let me just, Lorelai has a
Can I have
question
your
for me.
tissue?
Oh, can you have my
Do you
tissue?
need it? Why don't?
No, I'm throwing it away.
Oh, you can throw it away.
Okay.
Thank you so
Ooh,
much.
boy, that's love. I wasn't going to touch that thing.
But it all started at the Monroe Institute in Virginia. You know, there's several people here that are Monroe people.
Here on Facebook Live, not necessarily here in. Lorelai hasn't been to a Monroe Institute
Right. Here on
program yet.
Here on Facebook Live that have been to Monroe. I attended a program there. Actually, I was part of the local chapter network, which is the volunteer branch of Monroe Institute. And we were hosting a weekend-long event. I attended, looking rather strange, stranger than usual, because I had a microphone and a voice box that I either hung on a lanyard or on my belt loop. I had had a paralyzed vocal cord for over 3 months, and I could only talk like this. I had no voice. So without that voice box, I could not talk. And while I was there, and I had just been to an ENT 2 days before, he scoped my throat and he said, "Oh, you have a paralyzed vocal cord." And it's like, well, yeah, I knew that, but it was, diagnosed. And the ENT wanted me to come back the next week and start the pre-surgical process, to have it repaired. And I said, "I'll be out of town." I said, "I'll be out of town. I'll call and make an appointment next week." Well, things happened at Monroe where I was actually healed. You'll have to read the book to find out, more details. But what happened is when I left and came home, my voice returned, and it was miraculous. I mean, it truly was a medical miracle. Which, by the way, Dr. Rajiv Parti, he's an anesthesiologist in California, and he gave a beautiful endorsement. He wrote to me and he said, that truly was a medical miracle. So coming from another medical doctor really made it felt great. But anyway, this extraordinary book begins with a medical miracle that transformed the author from skeptic to believer. It highlights the author's profound journey into the angelic realm and is rich with loving messages of encouragement and healing for humanity. An uplifting book, perfect for uncertain times like now with the coronavirus pandemic. He is the author of Dying to Wake Up. I also, many of you all know William Buhlman, who is one of the lead authorities on out-of-body experiences. He gave me an endorsement, and also Scott Taylor, who is the president and executive director of Monroe Institute. But I kind of forgot what I was talking about.
Well,
Yeah.
if anyone has any questions for her, feel free to throw them in the chat box, and I can read them to her. But I can start you off with a question.
Sure.
Now that you are the reluctant messenger, and then you came back, you returned, what now? What's your next plan? I don't know if it has anything to do with margaritas and the beach, but what next? What next big adventure do you have?
Well, there's a lot of adventures just in life. I have had so many people who have reached out and contacted me, and someone who's been communicating with me after reading my book mentioned something to me the other day, like, "Aren't you interested in past lives?" And I said, "No, not really. My life has it's so exciting right now. I don't care if I go in the past or not. Life is just full of adventure." Career-wise, now that I'm retired, I can certainly pick up that spiritual manual that I was working on for children. I think that would be, a good point to start. I'm also going to...
Carrie Palmer just put up the quick link to buy the book.
Oh, well, thank you,
That was
Carrie.
helpful.
Carrie has been a great, big supporter of mine. Thank you so much from the Seattle area. It is so early in the morning for you all.
Ooh, question.
Thank you.
All right, good.
Okay.
Question. Will you be on my Exploring Consciousness podcast from Donna Riebedow? I might have said
Donna,
that wrong.
absolutely. I would love to. Donna has been a great supporter. When she read my book, Donna, I don't want to put you on the spot like this, but when she read my book, she was emailing me. She said, "Oh, page 17, paragraph 4, oh, page 18, page 22. So, for the first book. So it really did touch her. So I really appreciate that. Absolutely. I would love to be on it. But just be aware, this is pretty much who I am. I am a polished writer, not necessarily a polished speaker.
You're doing great.
Which
Don't say
Which
that.
is fine, because it comes from my heart. This is a good time to point out. Do you know where that poem is?
Oh, yeah. Well, ma'am, they're listening, so
Oh,
you,
ma'am, okay, very good.
and Jenny's there, so.
No,
This is yours.
my sister decided that it would be great to have a challenge.
I think it was your
My
niece.
niece, okay. My niece decided to have a challenge within the family to write poetry. And they gave the parameters, and the parameters were real loose, like it could rhyme, it didn't have to rhyme, it could be one word, it could be 2 pages, whatever. And when I found out about this last night, I thought, oh no, I can't do that. Oh, that's too hard. Why can't I can't do that. And as soon as I got home, the message just dropped into my
Well, that's not fair.
awareness.
The rest of us have to actually write it. You just get to I think, Jenny, I think she should be excluded from the competition.
Exactly. It was great. It's like, I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is open up. So, can you read this, Lorelai?
Maybe.
Nana might cry because she usually cries when she reads things she writes.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, so
And it started with the title.
Love.
nice and loud for us, though.
Love.
Duh.
Dost thou not know me? As we walk hand in hand across the sands of time, I am with thee. Go within, listen to the beat of your heart, seek me within. For within lines the wisdom, within lies the wisdom, within lies the strength, within hold the beauty, within holds life itself. Peace into you, Candy.
Okay, that was a really hard thing to read, and you knocked that out of the park. Good job, Lorelai. I mean, it starts with
Dost thou?
thee,
So
wow.
here you go.
Okay.
Lorelai, thank you so much.
Aunt Jessie just told us she ordered the book. Let's see.
And for those who are just logging in, I would love for you to just put something in the chat. Just put your name and where you're from.
Oh, the chat box is very active. This is great.
Okay.
I'm enjoying it all. She'll
Okay,
read it
good.
after.
Excuse me, we'll have to turn around and make sure that people can see you as well too. But this is how my messages came. They just come straight in through me like they did on that morning going to work. What's interesting is here I am a psychologist, and my training taught me to not believe anything unless you could measure it with your 5 physical senses. And all of a sudden, it's like, now what I do with this information, I am getting information from who knows where. And I initially doubted it, but my training as a psychologist kicked in, and I just kind of sat back and documented. And before long, I had hundreds of pages of written notes on the messages that I've gotten. And over the years, I found that many of the messages I've been able to validate. So because they were verified by my research, I realized, the information I'm getting is true, with the capital T. It's coming from a source that I may not always be able to identify, but it's always been good. It's always been positive. It has always...
Oh, watch those fingers, lady.
Now we're
Hold that for a
switching
second.
over.
No, I'm just going to look at this.
Oh, well, we need to turn around to see Cassie sometime too. But, it comes from a source that is so much greater than my own. Often when the messages come in, it is like dictation. I'll be driving to work. Now, I would always do this in the morning, and I never put anyone in danger because I'm busy paying attention to the road, but I'm aware enough of what I'm doing in driving that I actually open up and messages would flow. So all I would do is touch record on my iPhone, and in would come the messages. It would be like dictation. They would say, look upon this earth through the eyes of your heart, period. New paragraph. The greatest love of all. Oh, see, now I can't do it. See? All right, so they would tell me when to start a new paragraph, but as soon as I open up and the information starts coming in, everything is energy. And as this divine energy, especially from the angel realm, comes to me, I am always just like, just overwhelmed with, usually with tears, as you all have already seen. Even if it's a happy experience, then I don't really need a tissue. I'll just do this. Thank you, Lorelai. But, even if I'm overwhelmed, it's just like, it's just beautiful information. And I know that it always speaks the truth. And I'm always, so that's one way I get information. Just a dictation. I can sit down and write it. I like to record it because it's faster. Other times I'll get information through a download. And it's like a computer download. You hit download and all of a sudden it's there. The same thing with the messengers. If I get a download, I can actually sit at my computer and type for, 15 minutes. Just do pages and pages. And the information just comes in and it's so accurate. They will give me information on topics I've never heard of. And then I've validated it later. Now, what's interesting about this new book is that a lot of my experiences are strictly that. They're experiences. They're experiential. I certainly, have messages in the book, but there are some chapters that deal with how I communicate with geometric forms, for example. And, that was a real bizarre occurrence for me to find this out. But I found out later, for example, the forms, and you'll have to read the book or listen to it later, the forms had specific meaning with different types of angels. I had no idea of that. I didn't even know what the forms were until they developed, circle, line, triangle by triangle into something. So I know this really sounds bizarre. You'll just have to be there. But, what it goes to is to show that...
She needs a break. I've got the camera back.
Okay. It's to show that every single thing is energy. Whether it's your emotions, whether it's a book that you're holding, whether it's a thought that you have. And when you can start fine-tuning your senses so that you can sense energy, then you'll be able, hopefully, if you want to, you'll be able to pick up these threads of energy that come from other sources. Everything, like the different angels that I communicate with, they have a different feel because they have a different pattern, a different vibration than the others. And that's how I recognize them, is by their vibratory frequencies. So this has been just a great journey for me.
I think what is really highlighting your talk about energy and everything, and how everything, like life force, energy, if I could just really show that in living example, this life force of energy right here. His name is Loki. He has not moved. There we go. We got something. So I just wanted to highlight, just really, really hits home your message.
Yes.
Sorry. I'm the comic relief here because, all right, we have, Linda Lester has a question.
Oh, Linda from Seattle area. Thank you, Linda.
So she's got her coffee ready. How do we fine-tune our senses?
Oh, you just do it.
Yeah, that was great.
It is a skill, Linda, that you can learn, okay? I can only tell you what works for me. Have you ever been in a situation and you're talking with someone or you get a thought and all of a sudden you get cold chills? Well, if anyone has had goosebumps or cold chills, you realize that, and it's not due to the chill outside, you realize that's information that came in and it manifested as a cold chill. You're not standing in the freezing weather. So there was no reason for your skin to react that way. Well, that's another way that your senses have that you used your senses differently than what they were designed for. Okay? So knowledge comes in and you feel cold chills. And that's a message to you that says, pay attention, something's going on here. You can learn to do the same sort of thing. What I have found is most useful is really trying to bring the energy down to my heart. It is so easy, especially as a psychologist, to stay, with those hamster wheels running in your brain, and analyze this, analyze that. What about this? What about that? But bringing that energy down into your heart, and then start feeling instead. Now, we know that even beautiful animals like Loki they rely on their instinct. You look outside with a squirrel, and a squirrel doesn't get out her planner to figure out when it's time to squirrel away the nuts. They just do that automatically. Well, we're like that too. When we were young, I have two beautiful grandchildren. When they were young and they didn't have language, it was so frustrating because if they would cry, it's like, what's wrong? I can't wait till they can talk. Well, once children start developing language, it's great because we can start communicating. But after that, what you find is no longer acting on instinct. They start operating from their headspace. So be more childlike. Bring your energy back down to your heart. Practice. Like if a thought comes into your mind, why did that thought come into your mind? Don't doubt. Accept it as being true. Well, no, maybe don't accept it as being true. Just don't doubt. Write the information that comes down and then later try to verify it. Just try to keep your ego or judgment out of the way and try to just sense things differently. Yes, Cassie?
Well, it reminds me of a movie that's very popular in our household right now. Mm-hmm. The Never Beast.
Yeah.
What does Fawn say? Fawn!
Listen to your head.
Not your heart. Heart gets you in trouble. But then at the very end, what did they decide they needed to do? Listen to your
heart
and your
head.
Yeah.
Oh, and so this is Tinkerbell, right?
Yeah. Well, Fawn is one of her besties, but yes.
Well, that's exactly true. That's what we need to do is listen to your heart. Listen to the guidance from within because it won't lead you astray. Yes, you need to listen to your brain as well, too, but move most of your energy down.
That's
to
what
your
they
heart.
figured out at the end of The Never Beast.
So I could have just watched Tinkerbell.
You did the other day. You were bawling.
Oh, no, that's right.
Remember The Never Beast and
Yeah.
Fawn and who's the other fairy? The
There's Gary
protector fairy? The protector?
Next.
Nyx got it backwards.
Oh, that's right. So,
Yeah, but that's what their conclusion was. You have to listen to your head and your heart. Don't ignore your heart.
So
Nyx was wrong.
So we were watching this movie, Lorelai, who will turn 8 on Monday, Shalane, who just turned 4, and Nana, who's older than both of them, doubled and more. And I'm sitting on the couch crying, and they're not.
Watching a animated Tinkerbell movie. It's a real tearjerker.
Right, well, it was.
Yeah.
It was for me.
Here, let's see. We've had some more. Well, no, not right now. Lots of people saying botting the... Oh, I liked this. Ready? There's your next... This is while you were explaining it. There's your next book. Developing the skill, the practice. I see a series coming.
And it does come easy to me once I opened up to do this. And the messengers have told me, like, connecting to a different energy source, a non-physical energy source, whether it's a guide, whether it's an angel, whether it's a star system. And I know how bizarre this sounds, and I used to think it was bizarre myself until it happened, but once you make that connection, you begin to establish a pathway. I don't know if it's a magnetic pathway, an energetic pathway, but some sort of non-physical pathway to that spirit, angel, guide, whatever, and you can always find your way back. In fact, they showed me this little vision of walking across a field of wheat at night. There's a full moon, and you watch these invisible footsteps that go across the field. As they stomp across the field, the wheat shafts bend down, and once you reach the other area, you can find your way back because you can follow that path. Well, the more you connect back and forth, before you know it, you have like a 4-lane highway, and all you have to do is, like I did a while ago, just pretend I was dictating something, and I get real teary-eyed because all of a sudden the messengers drop in and they're getting ready to just really dictate and give me a message. But once you learn to do that, the whole thing is, okay, yeah, it's a series.
Yeah, and requests here with a guided workbook and guided meditation, and I think you're going to be busy, it sounds like. We've got some good ideas here, but we still need you to be available for babysitting, so
yes,
don't get too packed, right?
And by the way, this book, it's just so interesting as I go back and read a lot of the messages, and some of these messages, because the topic is just on angels, I went back and brought up looked at messages that I had like back in 2014. And what's fascinating is as I look at these messages now and read them through a current lens of May, almost June 2020, they take on so much more significance. There's one message I had back in August of just last year, and I won't read the entire message, but one part says, a new light. Let's see if I can do this without crying.
Wait, let's take bets.
A new light is coming to the earth plane, and it is...
Yep, there it is.
There it is. Changing the world as you know it. So, I have had messages for so long talking about how life is changing. Earth is going through a transition. And Lorelai has a question, but let me just finish this. As Earth goes through this transition, she brings us along with her, but she's transitioning to a higher vibrational frequency. And this will also kind of address Linda's questions about, connecting with energy. As Earth transitions, she brings us with her, and we will be in higher vibrational frequencies that will thin the veils between dimensions. So people like me, who is an ordinary person's journey into the unknown, if I could learn to channel, and I didn't learn, it just happened, other people can too, because we're stepping into higher vibrational frequencies. And if we can really learn to operate from our heart space and just be open and be aware of information that's around, we will just blossom, right? Come here, flower.
Did you have a question?
When you were talking about...
Well, here, turn this way.
When you were talking about animals and their heads and thinking...
Right.
Loki's using his toy as his pillow.
Well, so he's using his head to think, isn't he?
Loki, you're supposed to use your heart. He did move, 4 feet, right? Mm-hmm. It's a big move for him.
And you know what? When our pets that we have are domesticated, and they are so much more human-like than a lot of animals that are out in the wild, so they probably do use their heads more than what animals in the wild do. Because I think we have pets. I know one of my sisters, she has a dog that seems to have anxiety, and anyway, I just think that animals in the wild probably live through their heart space much more than animals like Loki who almost just take up our characteristics too.
I know that the snow cheetah leopard that lives in our house definitely does.
Yes, yeah, Shalane quite often is a snow cheetah leopard.
She's a snow cheetah leopard more than she's a Shalane.
I know we've got about 9 more minutes, and before we leave,
Carrie Palmer wants to see me.
I was just, Carrie, ding, ding, ding.
And Dan, but I don't know. I don't
I
know.
was just going to say, I want to make sure that we can get Cassie in there. So do you want to film Mom?
Yeah.
Okay, you got to get my good side. Oh, wait, it doesn't matter. Just kidding.
Mommy.
That was Nana's move. Yeah, I even put on a dress, but I was behind the camera. So, hi. Thanks for ordering the book and being here.
And what did you like about The Reluctant Messenger?
The original.
Right, you haven't read the other one yet.
Right.
You've only listened to auditions from...
I've only listened to the same 4 minutes 20 times, but
Right.
that part I've got down pat. What did I like about? What do you mean? I like that you wrote it. I think it's awesome that you wrote it.
Did you like it that your name was on it?
Was it? No, it was great. I mean,
Daddy's name has to.
Oh, well,
yeah, Daddy's name is
Oh,
in there too.
mention your neighbor
I have neighbors. Help me a little.
who said, oh, I was looking at a book on Amazon.
Oh, my neighbor just. How did she find out that you were?
She looked up a book, I think, by Dr. Brian Weiss or something like that.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, the original, obviously the original, because this one it wasn't out yet, was recommended to her, and she found out that it was
She
you.
said, yeah, she
She's
said,
like,
she looks familiar.
yeah, and then she realized it was you. She's like, that's your mom? I've got to talk to her. Which is great. I don't know, did she talk to you? I don't. Oh no,
No,
I think that was
because-
right around when coronavirus, and then.
Right, and the reason I'm over here, we are still doing an isolation pod. The
Yes.
only time I have stayed home since my return trip from Peru on March 15th, and the only place I've gone, luckily
here.
Cassie goes to the grocery store for me like every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and I have come here to babysit because Cassie's working from home, Dan works from home,
You
and
don't babysit me though.
No,
Yeah.
Shalane. She babysits Shalane. You're self-sufficient. You're fine.
right.
You don't need any help.
But the snow cheetah leopard sometimes needs to
Sometimes.
have a watchful eye.
Yeah. As 4-year-olds tend to.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we only have a few more minutes, so if there's any. I feel like you're only filming me.
No.
Here. Okay. I'm just making sure. So, any more questions?
Which means if you have that phone, you're going to have to read the
You
questions.
see on the bottom where you can read them.
Nothing new popped up.
Oh. Good. Well, I can take the camera back if you want. Now that everyone's seen me.
Oh, something new popped up. It says, buy the book right now, people.
Yeah, that was good. Buy the book right now, people. Don't show the messy kitchen, okay?
Very good. Well, let me go ahead and share.
Oh, Stephanie said hi. Hi.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
Hey, Stephanie. And
Steph-a-referee.
Steph-a-referee. If you haven't already, let me see, we should celebrate, Stephanie's birthday on May 12th, which is the same day as Shalane's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? So my birthday's still before both of theirs.
That's right, May 11th. Stephanie's one of the first people we met when we first moved to Naples. And Stephanie told everyone, what, you all were in 3rd, 4th grade.
Stephanie, that is her birthday.
Yeah, I know, but
Oh.
but you were in 3rd or 4th grade, and 3rd and 4th graders say, when's your birthday? And Stephanie said, my birthday's May 12th, which it is, which is also Shalane's. And Cassie said, oh, mine's May 11th. Well, it isn't. It's May 15th. But
It's not.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's July 15th. But ever since then, Cassie has celebrated 2 birthdays a year, May 11th and July 15th. So Stephanie, thank you so much. It's good to see you. If you haven't already, please, in the chat, tell me your name and where you're from, because I want to have a record of who has been here. I did have Scott Taylor, who is from the Monroe Institute. He said that this was a poignant book for these quickly changing times, filled with meaningful and uplifting messages. Scott is in the book because he did some research, and I wasn't aware of the research, but I had lots of information that ended up being validated by his research. Bill Buellman, leading authority on OBE, says, in this inspiring book, Candice Sanderson receives visions and guidance from the non-physical beings and shares their communications of hope and healing that have contributed to her awakening. So it's, you know, thank you so much for this. I have had, when you read the book, you'll hear experiences from the Monroe Institute. You'll hear experiences from angel classes that I attended, you know, with Sandra McGill and Lee Shook. Those were valuable. You'll also hear of a lot of meditations I attended through Reverend Renee Bledsoe and the Church of Spiritual Light in Fort Myers. Of course, you heard a lot about them in my first book. Beth Brown Ranella with Goddess I Am. I've had a lot of meditation experiences through them. That has been a fabulous place, like my home away from home.
I just want to, first of all, Debbie Edmondson likes my staircase. So there you go. I thought I'd give you a look. We just have a couple more minutes. I just want to tell you, we've got Jennifer Vollins.
Oh, Jen, she's been wonderful.
Well, joining us from Ontario.
Yay.
We've got Carrie in Washington, as we know. We've got Joanne Kessler from Memphis. Let's see, someone, Dan, really long last name from Michigan.
Dan, yes. Oh, we had a great story that we shared together.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wilmington, North Carolina. Got a lot of Naples, Florida people, obviously, which is great. We have Jared, Sherry, Ellie, and Chewy watching from a boat in the Gulf of Mexico. So you're using data on this. Wow. Thank you. All right, so I think we're...
One more vision of these girls.
Well, we're just going to probably wrap up, but we'll do... Girls, do you want to say thanks for watching? Say bye, Nana's book. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that won't sell it. I don't know what will. And then Dan... He actually does speak.
Bye, Nana's book.
Yeah. And then...
By Nana's book, and thank you all so much. You've been just a wonderful support to me.
Yes, thank you. So, is there a secret?
Until next time, there's a secret passcode. I don't know what it is. It's like my Facebook passcode. It's unknown.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for buying, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.